guys, Travis here, Rich PT. So we're going over today is 6 foundational movements. So these are just kind of considered strength and conditioning, core, general exercises for the full body. So what those are is hip hinge, squat, lunge, push or press, pull, and carry. So this is basically the exercise we need to do if we want a strong, functional body. What do I mean by function? So that would be like, for my clients and patients, like hiking, gardening, getting down and up off the floor, playing with kiddos, playing with grandkiddos, carrying groceries, doing your rec activity, whether that's a sport, whether that's just basketball on the weekend or anything like that, making sure that you can do what you want to do and you're strong functionally to do that, okay? So what we're choosing to do here is try to work the body as a whole rather than necessarily break it up into parts. Like I got bi day, I got pec day, I got glute and quad day. Now we're gonna work out bis and pecs and glutes and quads, so don't worry about that. We're gonna get there. But what we're doing is trying to work out all of those muscles in a functional, holistic way rather than working them out separately. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna give you a little intro video, take you through some of the patterns, give you some guidance on it, and then we'll have 2 videos associated with this that'll be exercise. Lower extremity, upper extremity, just an efficient 9 or 10 minute quick exercise video. All right? Great, awesome, fantastic. So here we go. On to the hip hinge. All right, focus here, get that butt back. Get it back. Like you're trying to touch a wall behind you, or if like there's a drawer behind you and you're trying to shut it. So a lot of movement in the hips, keep the hips nice and relaxed, keep the knees nice and soft. You're not gonna move that shin bone is gonna be up and down, so there's no movement through the ankles. We're gonna get to this a little bit more when we get into the squat, okay? And then we're gonna keep the trunk. What do you define as the trunk, you ask? Good question. So I'm defining it as basically pelvis to top of the head, all right? So your core, whatever you want to call it, but your whole spine, you want to keep that nice and still. You should feel a slight stretch in the back of the hamstrings when you're doing this correctly. Okay, so now for everybody's favorite, the squat. So we're still gonna get a lot of movement from the hips, so still keep the hips nice and relaxed, all right? Still want to try to keep that trunk nice and tall. Now we're going to start getting some ankle movement here. So what you can see here is my shins coming forward a little bit, but not too far forward to where my knees are going over my toes, all right? So that's how we can kind of see that we're getting some ankle movement as the shin bone is kind of coming forward, all right? So get into the hips, a little bit of movement in the ankles there. We still want to keep a nice tall trunk, all right? So sometimes if we go too deep, we're going to get a little bit of movement like I probably do in this video, but you want to try to keep that as still as possible. Now, squats definition, you don't have to go all the way down. You do quarter squats, you do sit to stands, you do full squats. All that matters if you're trying to do the squat, get the good form first. Here we go with the lunge. So now we're getting into single leg. So you're gonna have a lot more stability from the hip when you do this. What I'm showing you is the reverse lunge. Okay, so when we do the reverse lunge, we're trying to get, again, into that hip, keep that trunk nice and tall. Now you can see, when I say trunk nice and tall, I just mean, I don't want movement between the pelvis and the head, but you can lean forward because that's through the hip. All right, so if your head starts to tilt forward, that's okay, as long as you're getting it from the hip. All right, so keep nice and stable. Don't let your knee go in. All right, that's one thing. If you have some hip weakness, that knee on the stable side wants to go in a little bit. So keep it nice and slow, nice and smooth. So for the push or the press, there's a lot of different variations for this. All right, so you can have like a TheraBand press or a pulley press or bench press, an overhead press. What we're gonna go with is the one that I think anybody can do. That's a push-up. All right, so we're getting a little bit core in here as well. So hands right underneath the shoulders. You're gonna get in kind of that plank position. You're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together a little bit as if you have like a towel in your armpit, and you'll feel that kind of engage in that area right underneath. And then you're gonna go down to about 90 degrees and come back up. Key here is just trying to keep your push-up nice and efficient. You don't have to sniff the ground. It's okay. Most of the time you're gonna mess up or kind of strain a bicep or something like that when you're doing it. Keep it nice and efficient. Keep that plank. As soon as you break down on that plank, you're done. No more push-ups for you. Take some rest. Pull. So a lot of different variations of the pull, right? We can do rows, dumbbell rows, TheraBand rows. We can do vertically, like a pull-up or something like that. Anything to get those back muscles. So what I'm gonna show you right here is basically kind of a bent over row position. You can support or not support depending on how much control you have. So what you wanna do is, again, as always, as I say all the time, keep the trunk nice and still as you're doing this, okay? So you kind of bend over through the hips, all right? You're doing the same thing, kind of engaging that shoulder blade, kind of squeeze that towel in your armpit, and then you're going to pull just to about your rib cage, where your elbow's gonna be right about the rib cage. Let it go back, control it, don't just let it drop. Pull back, right to the rib cage, let it go down slowly, okay? You can also do this kind of with a TheraBand. I show you different seated positions in my exercise video as well. Okay, so probably one of my favorites is the carry. Probably the one that we forget a lot or just don't know about. All right, so you have different carries. You have like farmer's carry, which is weights by your side, both hands, suitcase carry, hands on one side. You could do like a press carry right in front of you. What we're gonna go with is just a suitcase carry on one side. You can walk with this, you can do step ups with it or anything like that. We're just gonna stand still. Real good exercise. So working on total body posture here, you're gonna keep it on, let's just say the right side for now. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna feel pressure into your right leg, generally speaking, and then kind of to your left low back area. And what you wanna do is keep your shoulders symmetrical with your pelvis. You don't wanna tilt in one direction or the other. So basically, if you took a line between your shoulders down into your hips, they would be equal on both sides. Say if you were tilted to the right, and you took that line, you would see that it would kind of go a little bit outside your hip and the other one would go way inside the hip. You kind of get what I'm saying there. So you want to keep that nice and still. You're holding that. Pretend like you have a string, pulling your head straight up so you can keep that nice, still trunk. All right, so that was the foundational movements intro. Thanks for watching. Got the other two exercise videos, so go ahead and check those out. If you got any questions or anything like that, please let me know. Otherwise, enjoy.